Hey y'all, Grandma Rose here. It is the first week in May, and I thought I would show you what I've been doing the past month. I haven't put out many videos because I've been really busy in the garden. When I come in, I'm too tired to do anything else. So I could have, I suppose, but I was pushing myself as it was. So let me turn the camera around. I'm on my way out to feed the chickens. On my way to feed the chickens, I will just take you along with me and show you what's outside my garden, or at least outside the fenced area. What's going on there, what's going to happen, and then I'll bring you inside the garden area and we'll show you what I've been doing. So here, let me turn the camera around and let you see. Well, as I said, I'm on my way to feed the chickens. Well, this chicken, this is Ruby. Let me let you see her. She's a Rhode Island Red, and she has chosen not to roost in the coop with the other girls. So she greets me every morning. And I've got my crumbles for my little baby chicks that are back there. Well, they're not little babies anymore, but the chicks are still getting crumbles. And I put that down to record this little video, and Ruby found it, so she's eating the chick crumbles. I'm going to go put big girl food, big chicken food in the bucket, and then she'll get some of that. So let me pick this up and let's go. Come on, Ruby. Come on, Ruby. Here we go. Walking around this way, it's easier. Show you where I keep my chicken food. Kind of crazy, but maybe not. I'm an old lady. I can't carry a 50-pound bag of food back to the coop, so this is where I keep it. Right there. That's my chicken food. So Ruby's back at it. Here. Down in there. Okay, there's chicken food. Now let's walk over this way. I still have iris blooming over here. Big bed of iris right there. And you walk around this way and there's some more daffodils. These are the last daffodils that I have. They're called Twin Sisters. It's an heirloom variety of daffodil. Let's look down on it and see why it's called Twin Sisters. See, they have 2 flowers per stalk. So as I said, this is an heirloom variety of daffodil called Twin Sisters. I don't know what the scientific name of it is. Shame on me, I should know that, but I don't. And right in here, back there is a fig tree that is just starting to leaf out. It was really late starting to leaf out. And over here, this little tree right here is it's a Mexican plum, and this one right here is a Mexican plum. And over there behind it is my mulberry. Let's look at the mulberry and see if there's any fruit on it. There has been fruit on it, and in fact I've been picking it. Yeah, look here. There, and that one's ready. I'll come back and get these later. But there's just a few, and I'm getting just a handful. There's a lot that aren't ripe yet, and then 1 or 2 that look like this. Let's move this out so you can see it. 1 or 2 that look like that, and that one is almost ready. So I will get I'll probably get a dozen or so, and add it back to the bag that I've got in my refrigerator. So let's walk back around. Now this fig tree right here is almost died. It's coming back from the base. See there? This fig is coming back from the base. This is my strawberry fig, and I'm really looking forward to that producing. Now, I don't know if I'll get anything out of it this year or not. Now, this area in here with the irises, back here on this side of it, with this fig tree, I still have yet to clean out. I don't know if it'll get cleaned out or not. But I had the intention of planting zinnias and some other things in here. Don't know if it'll happen. I really would like to. I've already got the plants started and I want to put them here. And here's the back side of my garden fence. We're looking here at a fig. This is a wild fig, I believe, but it could be a muscadine. I'm not sure. You see put this down. Look at this. Did I say fig? Grape. It's a wild grape. And I don't know if these are little grapes or if these are the flowers. I've never seen grapes this close before, at this stage anyway. I've helped friends pick the muscadines, or my friend who has called me to pick muscadines after she had gotten as many as she wanted. But I'm going to have grapes this year if they are at the stage that they need to be pollinated. I'm going to have to be learning about grapes, I think. So I've got a few grapes on these. And this area over here needs to be cleaned out badly too. I have a man and a helper who mows for me, and they came in here. He wanted to mow this area in here for me. I said, no, I'm going to hand weed that. And I haven't hand weeded it yet. But this is my peppermint in here. Right in here is peppermint. It's really good. And this shrub right here, with the tag on it, tagging on, is a tea bush. It's a, what is it? Well, let me read the tag. Small leaf tea. You see this? Small leaf tea, Camellia sinensis. So this is the tea that tea is made out of. I think they pick the small leaves. And it would take a lot of small leaves to make tea. But one of these days it'll be bigger. And honeysuckle smells so good. And back in there is a privet with my table and chairs. Nice place to sit in the afternoon. So again, this grape is all along the top of this fence. I come over here on the back side of it. This is actually the root ball of this tree that fell. This area right in here, with all the weeds in it, I'm going to clear out. Yeah, this is the last thing on my list. Right there is what's called a Vietnamese perilla, or beefsteak plant. It's really pretty. Let me get this off of it. Something's been nibbling on it. You turn the leaf over, and it's purple on the back side. Really, really attractive. It's fragrant. I think it's used in Vietnamese cooking, wrapping vegetables, or wrapping food anyway to cook. And I've got 1, 2, 3 of them in here. So this needs to be cleaned out for that. And I believe I'm going to put some amaranth in here. I have amaranth seedlings, and I think I'm going to put some of the amaranth right here because they can grow tall. This is a spot in the garden, in my property, where they can get tall. And right there behind that, those are elderberries. You see the elderberries? Starting to get, I'll show you in a minute, some other ones that are getting ready to flower. And back here behind that is another mulberry tree, but that one's not producing like the other one. This tree right here is a fig, and it has not leafed out yet. This is my brown turkey fig, and it is still alive, but it is not doing anything. It is still alive. I've checked it, and it's green underneath the bark, so I know it's still living, but it has yet to leaf out. And again, more grapes. If you look right back through here, there's my garden, there's my cattle panel arbor, and right here where I'm standing, I'm going to put a second arbor. I have another cattle panel. But what I need to do is move this T-post right here. And that T-post needs to come over to about here. And that is where a muscadine is planted. But if I move the T-post right here, I can leave that muscadine in place, and it'll be on the inside of the arbor. And that muscadine can grow up on that arbor. I think that'll be great. So there will be a gate on this end of it to come back over to where my table and chairs are over here. So we'll come back over to here. I can walk through that gate and come right in here. Let's walk back around. And instead of cutting through this way, let me show you what I'm doing. Oh, do you see that tree? Well, there's a big tree, which is the pecan, that doesn't ever do very well. It hasn't produced any pecans as far as I know. And underneath it, I believe, is a wild cherry. I think that's what that is anyway. I'm not certain. That's what it looks like. And look at the T-post. You see what this is? See what I'm doing? I've talked about doing this for the past couple of years, and I'm finally doing it. Yep. But let me turn to my left a little bit. So I'll show you some more of this fenced area in just a minute. But let me turn over here. Now this structure right here is made out of blades from some kind of equipment, and I don't know what the equipment was, but it was here when I moved here. And I have put chicken wire and other fencing on it, cleared the ground around it, and I'm going to grow cucumbers here. It gets plenty of sun after, because this is facing south. So it gets lots and lots of sun, even though there's a tree there, and I'm standing under a tree here. Because this is facing south and we've got that field right there, this gets lots of sun, so that'll be okay to grow the cucumbers. So now we'll talk about this over here. So there's a post right here. This is the corner post right there. Well, there's the corner post. There's the hole for the corner post. And all along here is the other fence line. So this fence is going to line up with the corner of my shed over there. Let's walk around this way. This is my second little garden. Put my chicken feed down. I need to get in here and weed some more by hand. I've done what I can with the hoe, and the rest needs to be weeded by hand. So there's potatoes that are late coming up, because I got them in late. And I have a few more potatoes that I may plant. I don't know if they'll do anything, but the ones that didn't come up, I can replace. And this area over here on this side is corn, and I had bad germination on that corn too. So I haven't decided quite what I'm going to do, whether I'm going to replant that corn. And I'm thinking not. I'll have a little bit of corn come up. I'll have a few. But I think this is where I'm going to plant my okra. I think it'll be a good spot for the okra. And then the rest of this, besides the potatoes, is going to be winter squash. So I'll do winter squash over there in that corner. I'll do some winter squash in here with the potatoes. And some winter squash over here among the corn and the okra. And maybe or maybe not over here, because that's where that fence is. That's where I have to come in. So I haven't quite decided whether I'm going to do winter squash over there yet or not. But anyway, this is going to be winter squash, potatoes, and okra. This hasn't been planted yet, but you'll see the seedlings in a few minutes. Okay, let's walk around here some more. I want to show you this blackberry. Look at this. That blackberry is absolutely loaded. It's just loaded with blackberries. Now, for the past several years, I've been cutting this blackberry bush down. And I have a flowering vine growing on this. There's a flowering vine growing on it. And the blackberry has been growing up in it, and I keep cutting it down. Well, this year I decided to let the blackberry grow, and I'm just amazed. So I'm going to have lots of blackberries there. And I've also been clearing out this area back in here behind, on this side of my shed. So there's lots and lots and lots of goldenrod back in here, and other shrubs. And I'm cleaning that out, and I'm going to plant other stuff in here. I haven't decided quite yet. And I may not get it cleaned out until next year. But I'm planning on using this spot back here, because again, it's south facing, and it'll be a good spot for something. And my compost heap is over here. I'll show you that in a second. So here's more. There's lots of poison ivy in there. And there's an area here that's a burn pile. Or I could just let it settle on itself. Because back in here also, on this, there's more blackberries. Look at the blackberries. So this might not be a bad thing to leave right here. Because these blackberries have support. And they're growing up. And I can get a lot of blackberries off of this. I think this will be good for my garden. Give me another crop. So instead of cutting this all down or burning it, I'm just going to let this go. Because this gives me lots of blackberries and accessible. Here in the south, blackberries are a weed. I think other parts of the country you have problem with raspberries, but most of what you're seeing in this field is blackberries growing up. And if this wasn't kept cut down, this would be an entire field, a bramble. It would just be a blackberry bramble back in here. And there's another right there. Is another burn pile. See that right in here. Walk around it and see more blackberries. Again, more blackberries. And this right here in front is what the field is full of. This is the young blackberry canes coming up. And 2 apple trees. There's one back in there. There's one right here. 2 pear trees, one in here, one over there that haven't flowered yet. They will one of these days. And there's more apples back over there in that corner. There's a crab apple and a couple of other apples that I planted several years ago, and it was really too far. Well, it's not too far away for me to keep up with, but this back pasture doesn't get mowed. It gets bush hogged 2 times a year, and I don't know. I get fleas and not fleas. I get chiggers and ticks, and I don't like to walk through this pasture if I don't have to. So that was a mistake to plant those apple trees back in there. So when I got these new ones, I planted them in here. So in a couple of years, they'll be producing. At least I hope so anyway. And back in here, I'll show you. Do you see that shrub with the... Do you see that shrub or that tree? It looks like a tree with the tape hanging on it. Yeah, that's a blueberry. And it came up. I didn't plant that there. That just came up on its own. So I'm happy to have that there. So I've marked it with that tape so it will not be cut down. Let's walk back over here. I still haven't fed the chickens. Now I love this. This is zebra grass. See the zebra miscanthus. I did not cut it down this year, and I should have, because we've got all the dead stems from last year. But it'll grow up that tall, and you won't see them. Usually I get in here and I cut it down. Use my Sawzall to cut it down, because it's too hard to do just with hand. Even any kind of hedge trimmers or anything is too hard for it. In fact, I've known people to use a chainsaw to cut this stuff down. One year I actually burned it, and it came back and it was beautiful the next year. I may do that next year. Now let's walk back around here. And the chickens. The chickens want to know what I'm doing, what I'm talking about. Whoops. Here's the chickens. Chickens. Hey, chickies. Hey, chickies. I'll put the camera down. Okay. So let's feed the chickens.
Good girl.
Some of these are just 3 months old. Hey, sugar. That little one right there on the right side is just 3 months old. She's an Easter egger. And there's one down here on the right side walking toward me right now. That's a little Welsomer. I've got 3 of those. And there's the other one walking back, running back over there at the back side. There they are. I have 5 of those in a little flock. 3 Welsomers and 2 Easter eggers. Whoops! Chicken's chasing. That's one of my broody hens. The black one is Wednesday. And she's broody. She's going to get back. Whoops! She's going to get back on her eggs in a few minutes. But right now she's eating. Let's walk back around this way. So I've been clearing out this area back in here. Well, I mentioned, let me turn back around here because I didn't show you my compost. So there's my compost bin. Doesn't have a lot on it right now. But I don't know if you can see here that I've cleared out part of this here. And to the right side of the compost bin are my sunchokes, the Jerusalem artichokes. I got those from, who did I get this from? Sherry. What is her last name? Diggers? I can't remember. I know it was a D. And she lives a little bit north of me in Mississippi. And I got the sunchoke tubers from her at the Deep South Gathering last year and planted them right here. They didn't do much last year. But this year they've come up and they're going to be beautiful. You know, the sunchokes or Jerusalem artichokes are invasive. Well, invasive is not the right term. Invasive is generally used as a term that's generally used from a foreign invader. Let's say a foreign invader. It's not a native plant, but it's something that has been introduced, and it crowds out the native plants. And that's generally what an invasive plant is called. But this plant, I would say, is a thug. It's aggressive. It acts like what you would think of as an invasive plant because it will take up a lot of area. So I put this back here at the back where it can. So when you have a plant like that, that's very aggressive, and it takes up a lot of space, it crowds out other things, it's not a bad plant, you just don't have it in the right spot. So what you need to do is put it someplace where it doesn't have anything to crowd out. Let it be by itself, and it'll be happy. Now right over here in front of me, right there, is an elderberry. Let's see if I can find any flowers on it. Right there. And right there. Just little ones. Over here too. One right there. There's one right there. So yes, this elderberry is getting ready to flower. And it looks like I'm going to have a pretty good sized elderberry crop this year because I have elderberry in 4 or 5 different places. In fact, the elderberry would take over this property if I didn't keep it in check. Back over this way. So the big chicks are eating my little baby chicks, the crumbles. So the big chicks are eating the baby chick crumbles, and hopefully they got a little bit anyway. But they have started to. Oops. They are out and about, eating bugs and worms, and seeds and other things, you know, just like the big ones. So they're okay. But I still do put out the chick crumble for them. Over on this side, right over here, there's another blackberry coming up through this fence. Oh, my dog hears something. And back through there. There was a gate there. I've got it blocked off because the dog kept knocking it down. And so instead we're using the other gate on the other side. I didn't need 2 gates coming in here. In fact, when I put that fence up in there, I had intended to put the arbors right there and grow grapes on them. And then it wasn't secure enough, and the dog kept getting out, and right here with the chicken coop here was not a good place for the dog to get out. So come over here, and I see pokeweed coming up, and I have already cut that down a couple of times. And there's a big one over here next to the tree, and there's a smaller one right in there. And these other, looks like shrubs coming up, I need to cut down again. This is Aurelia, our devil's walking stick. It's all in here. And I cut it down earlier in the year. And it's coming back up again, so I need to get in here. And look at the spines on it. You see why they call it devil's walking stick. You see the spines? Nobody but the devil could hold on to that. It's really hard to cut down. So that's coming up all in here. And here's my babies. Here. Let's look through here. That rebar is blocking the way. But I closed the door on them so they could eat in peace. The big chicks get in here and eat their food too. And they are, gosh, how old are they? I got them in the early part of March, so they are 6 weeks, almost 2 months old. So they're right about 2 months old. And I've been just starting letting them out with the other ones, and they're doing fine. But there's 2, is it Faverolles or Faverolles? Can't remember. And 3 cochins. I had 4 cochins, and one of them died, unfortunately, but that happens. So those are going to be coming out in a little while. The little white one, you can see the white one in here, is a rooster, and I think that black one over there on the left side is a rooster also, judging by its comb. But the white one has started crowing, or attempting to crow. Well, let's walk back around this way. Again, right in here, this spot right here by the chicken run, I've been cleaning out, cutting down the privets, and I am going to plant squash or watermelon or something back in here. There was a wood pile that disintegrated, well, essentially a hugel bed, back in this area right in here. Come back in here, as you can see. If you look back in there, there's a T-post. And right on that T-post is where some logs disintegrated. Disintegrated isn't the right word. They composted. They did what they're supposed to do. So that's going to be a rich area right there, and I think I'm going to plant some watermelon right there. And again, right here is some more elderberry. So the elderberry will stay, but all of the privets going to come out. And you know, I've been working on my garden. I haven't had time to do this, but I will. It will get done. And let's walk back over this way. I'm not showing flowering plants very much this time. You see the privet flowering all over the place, and it smells good. Let's go back in here, my little shady spot with the bench. This is crepe myrtle. I need to cut this one down. So it's my bench. And another crepe myrtle right up here. It's pink when it blooms. It's nice. And all of this right in here, that's privet that I cut out from the other side where my propane tank is. And I had it in the backyard, was going to put it on the burn pile, and the guy who mows my lawn came, needed to mow that back part of the lawn, and instead of putting it on the burn pile, he moved it back here. This is not where I want it, and I'm going to have to pick it up and drag it back to the burn pile or make another burn pile and burn it. I don't think I need to be burning it right there under the tree. Probably not a good idea to burn it right there under the tree, even though it's tempting. Let me back around this way, because here's another elderberry. This elderberry, the flowers are bigger. And that's my snowball bush that is just about finished blooming. I said we weren't going to talk about flowering shrubs, but that's what we call an English dogwood. That's just a common name. And this border right here, there's a redbud. There's a couple of redbuds and there's other trees. Lots of poison ivy. And I have iris in here that need to be dug out because they have not flowered. Too shady in here for iris. And there's my wood chips. Lots and lots of wood chips. Let's look over and see the wood chips. I know, how interesting is this, walking to see the wood chips. Look how they've composted. Isn't that wonderful? Look how they've composted. So they're doing the job. And the chickens have spread them out all the way over here, over here, over there. There's my tripod. Over here, all the way in here. This looks like this was pine straw. at that. So I'm going to be able to use some of this year. Now I said I wasn't going to talk about flowering shrubs. This shrub is called Deutzia. Deutzia. Or maybe Deutzia. Like in German, Deutz is what, Deutsch. But anyway, we call it Deutzia. Pretty, pretty, pretty. I got this in a plant swap several years ago. It doesn't have a lot of fragrance, but it's just lovely. One of my favorite shrubs. I'll do a video on this one of these days. So let me put my camera back up on my tripod and walk along. Walk some more. We are back around at the front. And there's Ruby again. Hello, Ruby. Hey, chickie chick. Hey, chick chick. Hey, baby. Hello, chick chick. Hey, pretty girl. So there's Ruby. These azaleas are pretty. This one always flowers later than the other ones. It's a different variety and flowers late, so it's kind of nice to see all the azaleas flowering around town and then know that mine's going to come and I'll be able to enjoy theirs and then I'll be able to enjoy mine. Now I've got a good reason for having this, my little coop, my little bitty run for my chicks, for my babies. I've moved over here, and there's a good reason. Because I cannot plant any flowers in here, anything from seed or even small plants, without the chickens eating it up. So I decided to move this little run over here because the other ones would have to fly up and in to get inside it. And I will at least be able to get some marigolds started to grow here. And these are these are my brooders that I'm washing out. I just have them here and haven't finished washing them out yet, but that will get done. I've been busy doing other things. So I'm going to go inside, have a cup of coffee, and then I will take you out in the backyard. My back garden, because that's where my kitchen garden is. Oh, before I do that, before I show you where my kitchen garden is, let's walk over here. Let's show you this side of the fence, because we didn't show you this side of the garden. Walk down my walk. Let's walk down this way. I have a hard time with this walk. Well, not really, but do you see in front of me what I have? With these stepping stones and then the gravel, and then the gravel all over the stepping stones. That's because the chickens get in here and they're picking for worms and they're picking for whatever else, and they spread the gravel all over these stones, and I have to come out. And it's not a big deal. It doesn't take me very long to do it. And mostly it's just that. So this right here, that was my egg sign when I was selling eggs. Didn't have much luck. But growing up on this pole is a clematis called Jackmanii. Now I love this clematis. It's dark, dark, dark purple. Get close so you can see it. Don't know how dark, if you can see how dark this is. You know, with the light meters on the cameras do such a good job of trying to even up the light. Sometimes when flowers are dark, the camera makes them look like they're light. But that's the way it is. See, my prunella is blooming. Prunella is a native plant, Prunella vulgaris, and the common name of it is self-heal or all-heal. It's a very, very valuable medicinal herb. So I've got a few here, several in areas around the property, and just a few right in here. They like the sun better than the shade, so they're not doing very well in this area, but at least my yard guy's not mowing them down. And then over on this side is phlox. And I'm cleaning this out because there's grass all in here. And again, I'll plant some other flowers in here too. This is the back side of this area that I showed you that I wanted to clear out and hadn't gotten to it. But I wanted to show you this clematis here. It's right in here. On my fence. Growing up on the fence and on a birdhouse. You'll see this from the other side in a few minutes. But I don't know what variety it is, but they're big, pretty white clematis flowers. And right next to it, you can see the dead rose bush. That was a double knockout, red double knockout rose. And let me tell you, with that red knockout rose and this white clematis, it was truly a knockout. It was gorgeous. But there's a little baby pecan tree, and they pop up all over the place. Even though I don't get many pecans, what pecans the tree produces, the squirrels bury, and then I get to cut them down. There's another one coming up right there in the middle. Center screen right there is another little baby pecan. And there's my garden on this side. So I'm going to go inside, break a cup of coffee, and I will come out and I will show you my garden. I've done a whole lot this spring. I'll be back in a few minutes. In just a second for you.